Okay, question 1. The clue is not in the service name. VPC Secure Connect has an application on an EC2 instance in VPC-A that needs to access a database in VPC-B. Both VPCs are in the same AWS account. What is the most secure solution to provide the required access? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option D. Transit Gateway works too, but peering is simpler and equally private. VPC peering allows private network connectivity between two VPCs. Traffic using a VPC peering connection stays on the AWS private network and does not traverse the public internet. By configuring a peering connection and updating route tables and security groups appropriately, the EC2 instance in VPC-A can securely access the database in VPC-B using private IP addresses. For two VPCs in the same account and region, peering is often the simplest and most direct solution. What's up? Welcome to another Stack Lessons session. 10 questions ahead on VPC isolation, storage defense, and disaster recovery. Read each one, use the 6-second timer, then check your answer against the reveal and the explanation. Take notes if it helps. Track your correct answers. You will want your score for the wrap-up. Here we go. Question 2. Do not reward the familiar term. Secure Audit Docs Co. uses Amazon S3 for confidential audit documents with access restricted via least privilege bucket policies. Management is concerned about accidental document deletion and desires enhanced security. What should a solutions architect implement? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option C. MFA Delete forces a second factor for every permanent delete. S3 versioning preserves all versions of an object, protecting against accidental overwrites or deletions as previous versions can be restored. The MFA Delete feature adds a critical layer of security by requiring a multi-factor authentication code to permanently delete an object version or to change the bucket's versioning state. This combination significantly reduces the risk of accidental deletion. Here we go. Question 3. Quick check. Client VPN Secure Access needs to provide secure access for its remote employees to resources within a VPC, such as internal web applications and databases. Employees will connect from their laptops over the internet, which AWS Managed VPN service allows for client-based VPN access to a VPC. Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. Client-based and OpenVPN in the option text tells you everything. AWS Client VPN is a managed, elastic VPN service that enables users to securely connect from their devices, e.g. laptops, to AWS resources within a VPC or to on-premises networks. It uses the OpenVPN protocol, and administrators can configure access policies based on Active Directory groups or certificate-based authentication. This is suitable for providing secure remote access for employees to internal resources. Next up, question 4. The wording narrows the answer. Public Web App Secure is deploying a new public web application on AWS. The web tier uses EC2 instances, and the database tier uses an RDS for MySQL DB instance. The application must be secure and accessible to global customers with dynamic IP addresses. How should security groups be configured? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option D. DB rule references the web server SGID, not IPs. For a public web application, the web server security group must allow inbound HTTPS traffic, TCP port 443 from any IP address 0.0.0.0.0.0/0, so global customers can access it. The database instance, however, should not be publicly accessible. Its security group should allow inbound traffic on the MySQL port TSP3306 only from the security group ID associated with the web server instances. This ensures only the web servers connect to the database, following the principle of least privilege. Next up, question 5. Anchor on the exact workload. FSx Windows DR needs a disaster recovery solution for their Amazon FSx for Windows File Server file system, which is deployed in a multi-AZ configuration in their primary region. They require the ability to recover the file system in a secondary DR region with a low RPO. Which native FSx or AWS backup feature is best for cross-region DR? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. Multi-AZ survives AZ failures, not cross-region disasters. AWS Backup supports backing up Amazon FSx for Windows File Server file systems. You can create a backup plan in AWS Backup to schedule regular backups and, importantly, configure cross-region copy of these backups to your designated DR region. In the event of a disaster, you can then restore the file system in the DR region from these replicated backups. This provides a managed and automated way to achieve cross-region DR for FSx for Windows File Server. VPC peering for in-account isolation, MFA delete against accidental wipes, SG to SG references protect the DB tier, and AWS Backup powers FSx cross-region DR. Now, question 6. Verify the constraint first. Dev Test Solutions conducts monthly, resource-intensive tests on its general-purpose Amazon RDS for MySQL DB instance, which has performance insights enabled. These tests run for 48 hours once a month and are the sole database activity. To cut costs without sacrificing the DB instance's compute and memory, what is the most cost-effective strategy? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option C. Stopped RDS still bills storage. Snapshot terminate escapes that charge. For workloads that are only needed intermittently, once a month for 48 hours, the most cost-effective RDS strategy is to snapshot and terminate. Creating a snapshot captures the database state. Terminating the instance stops all charges except for snapshot storage, which is much cheaper than a running instance. When needed again, the instance can be restored from the snapshot. Stopping an RDS instance is also an option, but termination and restoration from a snapshot can be more cost-effective for longer idle periods, especially for general-purpose instances where storage is still billed when stopped. Let's slow down on this one. The stop versus terminate choice has a nasty billing trap hiding in it. Imagine your test database runs 48 hours a month, just 6% of the time. You'd think, stop it when not in use. But a stopped RDS instance still bills you for provision storage, and after 7 days, AWS automatically restarts it. For a monthly test cycle, your instance would restart itself 3 weeks before you need it. Snapshot and terminate is different. Pay only for snapshot storage, pennies per gigabyte per month. No compute, no provision storage. When test day arrives, restore from the snapshot and get back the exact same instance type and config. The 7-day auto restart is the trap that makes stop look good, but fail. Snapshot and terminate wins. Now, question 7. Compare scope and condition. Cost Saver Solutions wants to reduce costs for its 3-tier web architecture. Web, application, and database servers run on EC2 instances for dev, test, and production. EC2 instances average 30% CPU utilization at peak and 10% off-peak. Production instances run 24/7. Dev and test instances run at least 8 hours daily, with automation planned to stop them when unused. Which EC2 purchasing strategy is most cost-effective? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. Prod runs 24/7, dev test doesn't. That split decides everything. Reserved instances offer significant discounts over on-demand pricing for a commitment to use EC2 for a 1-year or 3-year term, making them ideal for production instances that run 24/7. For development and test instances that run for shorter, variable durations, even with automation to stop them, on-demand instances provide flexibility without long-term commitment. Spot instances could be too disruptive for dev test if not managed carefully, and a savings plan might be less optimal if dev test usage is highly variable or often zero. Let us keep moving. Question 8. Solve the situation, not the keyword. VoIP Inc. provides a voice over internet protocol (VoIP) service using UDP connections, running on auto-scaling EC2 instances across multiple AWS regions. They need to route users to the region offering the lowest latency and ensure automated failover between regions. Which solution should be implemented? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option A. UDP plus global latency routing. Only Global Accelerator handles both. AWS Global Accelerator provides static IP addresses and routes traffic to the optimal AWS endpoint based on health, client location, and configured policies, which is ideal for UDP applications needing low latency. Using network load balancers, NLBs, in each region as endpoints for Global Accelerator ensures efficient handling of UDP traffic. Global Accelerator also supports automated health checks and failover between regional endpoints. Let's break down why UDP is the deciding factor here. It changes everything about the architecture. Imagine you're building a VoIP app with 50,000 users calling each other in real time. Voice runs on UDP, not HTTP. That one fact eliminates two answers. Application load balancers handle only HTTP, no UDP. So you need a network load balancer, which works at layer 4 and handles UDP. CloudFront is HTTP only too, so it's out. Now, Route 53 latency routing sounds tempting. But DNS failover waits on DNS cache expiry. A failed region can leave users stranded for 60 seconds or more. Global Accelerator routes over the AWS backbone and reroutes clients in about 30 seconds. No DNS caching delay. Remember, if it's UDP, you need a network load balancer. For fast failover across regions, Global Accelerator beats Route 53 DNS every time. Time for another one. Question 9. Picture the scenario first. ContentShare Pro is evolving its web application, initially hosted on a single Amazon EC2 instance, with user documents on an Amazon EBS volume. To enhance resilience and capacity, they've introduced a second EC2 instance and EBS volume in a separate availability zone with an application load balancer distributing traffic. Post-deployment, users find that refreshing the site shows only a portion of their documents at any given time. What should a solutions architect suggest to ensure users can view all their documents simultaneously? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option B. Both instance need different documents because EBS isn't shared storage. Amazon Elastic File System, EFS, provides scalable, shared file storage that can be accessed concurrently by multiple EC2 instances across different availability zones. Migrating the documents to EFS and modifying the application to use EFS as the central document store will ensure that both EC2 instances access the same set of files, allowing users to see all their documents regardless of which instance serves their request. EBS volumes are block storage tied to a single EC2 instance and cannot be concurrently accessed by multiple instances for shared read-write operations. Time for another one. Question 10. Start with what the user needs. Global App Recovery runs a critical web application on EC2 instances behind an application load balancer, with its data stored in Amazon Aurora. This entire setup is in one primary AWS region. They need to establish a disaster recovery (DR) solution that allows for a maximum of 30 minutes of downtime, RTO, and tolerates potential data loss within that RTO. The DR infrastructure should remain passive, not handle live load when the primary region is operational. What DR strategy is most appropriate? Select one answer. Review the answer choices on screen. The correct answer is option C. DMS is a migration tool, not an Aurora DR replication engine. This outlines a warm standby disaster recovery strategy. Deploying the application infrastructure, EC2, ALB, in the DR region, possibly at a reduced scale or ready to scale quickly, keeps it prepared. An Aurora global database facilitates low-latency data replication to a secondary cluster in the DR region, which can be promoted to become the primary if the main region fails. Amazon Route 53 health checks can monitor the primary region's application endpoint and automatically failover DNS traffic to the DR region's ALB. This approach can meet the RTO RPO requirements while minimizing active resource consumption in the DR region during normal operations. Here's the part worth slowing down on. Let's walk through exactly how this failover works. Imagine your primary region suddenly goes dark, no warning. How fast can you recover? With warm standby, your DR region already has EC2 instances running and a load balancer ready. It also has an Aurora secondary cluster syncing data, with under 1 second of lag. Route 53 is pinging your primary endpoint every 10 seconds. It fails 3 checks in a row. DNS flips to your DR region in about 90 seconds. Then you promote the Aurora secondary, which takes a few more minutes. Total, well under 30 minutes. That's why C wins. Warm standby with pre-deployed infra is the only option that fits inside the window. 3 takeaways from this session. First, VPC peering keeps same account traffic on the AWS backbone. Transit gateway adds unnecessary complexity. Second, stopped RDS still bills for provisioned storage. Snapshot terminate is cheaper for monthly workloads. Third, Global Accelerator handles UDP cross-region failover. Route 53 latency routing cannot serve VoIP traffic. Every question here came down to 3 instincts. Keep traffic private, make storage durable, match DR to your actual RTO. VPC peering over transit gateway, EFS over EBS, snapshot terminate over stop. Lock those in. Before you leave, if this helped, hit subscribe so the next set finds you and so YouTube shares it wider. Tell me in the comments how you scored and where you struggled. Got a cert you want me to tackle next? Drop it below. And if anything about the pace or style could improve, that feedback genuinely matters to me.